2 centuries of history at New York's well-known Sing Sing prison. We've all heard of that. And joining us tonight, tell us more about this initiative is Brent Glass. He is the interim executive director for the Sing Sing Prison Museum, and there's so much history out there. It's unbelievable, really.
Well, I think that every chapter in the history of criminal justice has a few pages written at Sing Sing. There's hardly any subject you can think of that doesn't have some presence and some at Sing Sing Prison.
Well, you're working on the project. We're going to hear about that and some other things. But first, we're going to go to Antoine Lewis, who has more on the museum and some newer initiatives already in place now at Sing Sing. Watch this.
This wall is one of the last pieces of the original structure of Sing Sing Correctional Facility when it was built in 1825, a legacy that a new museum will soon spotlight.
We're trying to capture the history in a way that tells a story that really honors the men that lived here, as well as the staff and the administration that ran the place.
Sing Sing is one of American history's most legendary prisons, housing some of the most hardened criminals the country has ever seen.
We're looking at making a mock cell block, exhibits about some of the uniforms, the way folks live, the actual cell construction. There's going to be a lot of different moving pieces, as well as a space for the community to operate out of as well.
Also new to Sing Sing is the Serenity Garden, which, in addition to being a place to reflect, a recently launched program will train the inmates to be gardeners under the tutelage of Douglas DeCandia.
Inside a prison, you know, it's very concrete. There's a lot of walls. There's not a lot, you know, not often sunshine or anything like that, you know, and so being outside, being able to connect with the land, connect with the soil and the plants is something that, you know, rehumanizes us and remembers us as people, you know, and people as part of a place that is much greater and beyond these walls.
Proudly for Pika, the forthcoming museum and the gardening and other educational programs going on at Sing Sing are part of the prison's mission to rehabilitate. He should know. He was once a resident here himself.
I entered the system as a teenager, and I left in my 30s. That only happened because of the officers and the other inmates that I lived with. So to be able to honor that and talk about that, it really gives those of us that felt like we didn't have a voice something we never had before, and tell that story in an honorable way.
From Sing Sing, Antoine Lewis, Fox 5 News.
Tell that story. That's what we're doing now. Brent Glass is joining us again. Interesting. This is going to open in 2025, right?
Yes.
How's it coming along?
It's coming along very well. And next year we hope to open a small section of the powerhouse up at Sing Sing, which will be a preview center that will showcase some of our exhibits and collections and programs.
And there are so many stories, Brent. I mean, you know, with the history almost 200 years, right?
Yes.
How do you decide what you're going to show?
Well, we have to decide what the public will be interested in. We want to convey some of the humanity of the prison, some of the people who have been incarcerated there, some of the reforms that have been tried there, and really look at the variety of experience that is reflected at Sing Sing over 200 years.
It's an amazing history, and it's also going to be educational because you're looking at, you know, the criminal justice system from the past and where it is today. Yes,
this is a complex, compelling story, but we want to make it relevant to the national conversation today about criminal justice. There's hardly any time that you pick up the newspaper today that you don't read something about the criminal justice system and the need to reimagine our criminal justice system and hopefully make our justice system fairer and improve it.
That's always very important. Well, it'll be something to look forward to in 2025. Get a lot of visitors, I'm sure. It's close to New York City. You're going to have a great turnout, I'm sure of that.
Yes. Well, we're projecting about 130,000 people coming to Ossining.
Wow.
And that will be a great boost for the local economy.
Yes.
And I think we'll also have a great outreach through our website, through traveling exhibits as well.
Okay, we saw this Serenity Garden. That's a fabulous program. Now, this is really making a difference in the lives of so many inmates there.
One of our goals is to have a positive impact on the people who are incarcerated at Sing Sing, and their families. And the Serenity Garden is a good example of that initiative. We're very proud of it, and the collaboration with the Sing Sing Correctional Facility. Superintendent Mike Capra is a great leader there, a visionary leader.
Yes, of
and
course.
We're making big changes.
And witnessed a lot of behavioral changes there with the inmates too. Right? Very positive.
The men who are incarcerated working on this project are in the mental health unit, and from what we can tell, and all the reports have been that this is a transformative project for them.
Well, this is quite a project, and you have a lot of background, too, formerly with the Smithsonian Museum in Washington, so you know a lot about putting museums together and what to look for.
Well, we're collecting now artifacts, and we're also trying to pick the stories that we want to tell.
We have a website going up there, too. They're going to show you, okay?
Oh, good.
Everybody will be able to look at that, and they can get information?
Yes, they can get information there, and we're looking forward to having programs like the Gardening Project, like a dance performance that we have coming up this weekend on Friday and Saturday called The Weight Room, which honors the women who have loved ones incarcerated in prison. So the arts are going to be important, gardening, history.
A lot of good programs.
This is not going to be a traditional museum.
I can see that.